Good afternoon. Thank you for joining us for this second installment of Northwest Chamber Members Studio Sessions. My name is Emily Winters. I am the Northwest Chamber of Commerce President, and joining us today is insurance agent and my good friend, Richard Teitelman. Richard, thank you for joining us.
My pleasure.
So we're going to jump into a couple of questions about your career and then a couple of fun, lighthearted actor studio type session questions. So if you're ready, we'll go ahead and get started.
I'm ready.
So what was it that got you into the world of insurance?
So I started right after I graduated college. But when I started in the insurance business, I knew why I wanted to start. In college, I would go to this swim club, and there was this couple there, and they were in their late 30s, and they were always there, which is kind of unusual when you're working that you're there and not working.
Right.
You know, when you're in college, you're supposed to be at the pool because that's what you do. I found out he was an insurance agent, and I found out that he controlled his own time. And that was always important to me because I knew later on in life I'd have children, and I wanted to be at all their events, whether it's a play, whether it's sports, whether it's an award ceremony, whatever it is, I wanted the flexibility to be there. So that's drew me to insurance. And that was 1982. And here we are many years later.
That's great. And it really gets you striving to kind of set your own hours and be able to do your own work like that. So I'm sure that's a big motivation is having kids.
Yeah, and I like to control how much I make. So I've been on straight commission since 1982. And it's a plus and a minus. I don't know what I'm going to make any given time, but I know I control it. So if I work harder, see more people, talk to more people, I make more money. And I have nobody else to blame if I don't make money but me.
That's a good way of looking at it. So what do you love most about working in your field?
I guess I like that every day is different, whether it's investments or in insurance. Everybody has different challenges. And I've always been the type of person that I like to listen to what people say, ask them what's really hurting them, bothering them with insurance, and then try to solve the need. I don't really sell a specific product. They tell me what their hot button is. They tell me what their problem is. And then I give them choices. You can solve it many different ways. And everything has a plus and a minus. There's no free lunch of anything in life. So I give them the plus and minus of product A, product B, and product C. And they decide what's best for them.
That's nice. You're good at helping people, so that's nice to hear that it.
Bye.
Yeah. So what has been a favorite moment during your career? Maybe an accomplishment or a certain client that you've gotten to know over the years, or what's something that you love about that?
Well, I guess the best thing that ever happened to me happened in the early 90s when I turned 30 or 31, 32. And I went to this businessman and we hit it off great. But I could tell something was bothering him. And he said, everything is great. I love your energy. I love your knowledge. But I have experience knowing that people don't stay in the insurance business. So I thought quickly what I should do. And I knew I was in for the long haul. So I said to him, let's make a deal. Why don't you write a note saying that you saw me in 1992 when I was 32 years old, and give me the note saying you saw me, and then if I come back in 5 years, you'll give me a lot of business and you'll give me referrals. Well, he thought that was great, and I'm sure deep down he thought, one, I'd never keep the letter, and two, I might not be in the business. And in 5 years to the day, I called him up At first, he didn't remember too much, but then I refreshed his memory and I brought him the letter. And he's been a client for a long, long time. And I've gotten a lot of referrals.
That's a great story. I love that.
Yeah, well, I had confidence in myself and I knew that I'd be there in 5 years. So it
That's
was,
great. And a lifelong client out of it. That's wonderful.
yeah.
All right, well, we're going to move on to some of the lighter questions from the Actors Studio.
Okay.
So I am curious, Richard, if you have a favorite word.
It changes over the years, but and I learned them some from my youngest boy especially. He taught me YOLO, and so I sometimes use that. And now that I'm getting older, I just turned 60, and I got another 10 or 20 years in the insurance business left. But he calls me Boomer, so I use those words, and I think I have more emojis because a lot of my friends and clients love to text. So I have certain emojis that I use, like this one. And I had some friends make up emojis that look like me.
And they are uncanny.
And so I use them. So I would say maybe more emojis than words, but I always try to say hello to everybody, which is a plus and a minus. Some people like it, some people don't. But when I'm walking in a door, I'll say hello.
A nice greeting.
Yeah.
You do that. You do. It's always refreshing. I have heard you say boomer, but I've never heard you say YOLO. So maybe at some point.
Well, Boomer might have replaced YOLO.
Okay.
Because at first, when I heard YOLO, I didn't even know what it meant. But that's the whole point of it.
Right.
My youngest is now 24, and we're starting the role reversal with the boys. Both of my boys are successful, and now they're teaching my wife and I different things in life.
That's a nice thing to
All our
see.
lives we taught them, and now they're teaching us.
That's great. I love that.
And they are my IT department when I'm at home.
Your tech
And
support.
matter.
What?
You're also helping in the IT department.
You've got a whole crew of tech support behind you, which is great. All right, so another question we have is, do you have a favorite sound or noise?
Well, if you're a friend of mine and you ask them that question in my behalf, 99% of the people would say it's my horn. Years ago, I came up, I have very low blood pressure, and that's because I let it out. And I think it's because of my horn in my car. I invented DH and PH. DH is what everybody has, and that's defensive honking. And then there's PH, which is pleasure honking. If somebody cuts you off and you really don't need to slam on your brakes, but you get annoyed, instead of giving the finger or anything like that, I just lay on my horn, and it makes me feel better. And it's one of the ways when I buy a new car, that's one of the things that some people look for: color, make. I also check out the horn.
Have to, of course.
It has to be a significant horn. And I did learn from my mechanic that each horn is made up of two horns, and that they're different. I don't know the correct word, but there are different pitches.
Okay.
And they combine together. And I'm one of the few people that actually wore out a horn.
So you've got to find the perfect blend.
Right. Yeah, so that's a little different.
That's a good answer. I've never heard that before. So that is an original. I love it.
Well,
I was going to
cut me off, or you would have heard the horn.
So I guess a question to piggyback off that is if you have a least favorite sound or noise.
I guess crying.
Yeah, unpleasant.
my wife finds it very funny that when we watch sad movies or something, or even good movies that end up good, like some of the Hallmark movies she talks me into watching, I'll get tears in my eyes. So, most people wouldn't picture me that way.
But it happens sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so two more questions for you. These are a little fun too. What profession other than your own would you like to attempt?
I guess this is pretty common in men. I would have liked to have been a general manager of a sports team. I played sports all my life, and I would say some sports I'm very good at, some I'm adequate, but never at the level past high school playing sports or college. And I played tennis till the last couple years. But I've always wanted to be, and I played fantasy sports for 25 years, baseball and football. So I guess I'd want to be a general manager.
I
And
could
if
see you
anybody
doing that.
hears this, DaCosta or Elias, I don't have any problem starting in the middle of being an assistant of an assistant of an assistant. Because I love sports.
Yeah, I could see you doing that.
But it's not, I'm really not the age they're looking for young people with a high end of technology. And I'm old. I know sports well, but there's probably a million of us. And
I think they'd be lucky to have you at any level.
oh, that's very nice of you.
So the last question that we have also kind of ties into that, I guess, when you're getting started. But what is the one business lesson you wish you would have known prior to starting your career?
I guess the only thing that I wish I could have done better was maybe keeping more or specific or easier to get records. I started with the tickler file, and most people don't even know what that is, and I still use it. And I wish I would have moved a little faster in the technology field, because there are people my age who are great at technology, and technology does organize. I guess the one thing I hated most was the do not call list, because I went to Poly and they taught you everything is a mathematical equation. And I knew if I made certain amount of calls, talked to certain amount of people, I'd make certain amount of sales and make a certain amount of money. So it was a numbers game.
Right.
And I look at everything in life as a numbers game. And I wish I would have learned I see what my kids do, and it's just fascinating what they can do with technology. A friend of mine just told me yesterday, I'm going to say it wrong, airport or air spot or something on your iPhone, that if you're next to them, you could share pictures or something just by touching phones or getting near.
Oh, that AirPlay?
Yeah, it's
Oh,
called,
yeah.
and she taught me that yesterday and went home and showed it to my wife. And, it's third grade level of technology, but I was pretty impressed.
Yeah, it's interesting stuff to learn, and it keeps evolving. So
Yeah.
it's interesting.
Or it just shows that I get impressed pretty easy. Either or.
Or that.
Yeah.
Well,
I always
thank
try
you.
things a couple times. I tried to change my hair color and found out why men don't do them themselves. So, I'm always willing to try new things and find out that I can't do them. And that's life.
That's
I'm
life
a happy
sometimes.
person. I'm very lucky.
You are.
Yeah.
And a good friend. Well, thank you so much for joining us today,
My
Richard.
pleasure.
Hope you tune in next week to see our next installment of the Northwest Chamber Members Studio Sessions. Give a little insight into some of our members, and I'm really glad you all got to see a little insight into Richard today.
Thank you very much, and nice meeting everybody.
Thank you.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye.